in the finals here of ESL Masters, or excuse me, EPT Cup North America 198 in the upper right in the red. He's for Storm. It's MaxPax. And on equilibrium in the upper left in the blue for Team Liquid, Clem. And this is a big map. This is a long map. This is an interesting map. But this is also a map that Clem is going to proxy on pretty early here. New maps in the pool tend to mean that players will decide to go get aggressive on the map, start to cause some problems, because this is the first map in a couple seasons now that has been horizontal. And by that I mean you spawn upper left, you spawn upper right, bottom left, bottom right would be the same idea. I would think like a Blackburn is an example, Golden Wall is an example. We had one by Maris recently. I forget what it was called, but it had some metal music name on top of it. The maps like that, they're kind of different. Normally you see upper left, bottom right, upper right, bottom left, something like that. And the map does tend to play just a little bit, or maybe even more so differently. But for now, though, that also means, of course, that your understanding of what's going to happen in a proxy, you're just maybe slightly off as Clem. And this time, he is going to proxy that. And MaxPax should be aware. He sees that there's nothing in the main base. He sees double refinery. He very much understands just what's happening here. So that means, of course, that he is, in this case, not going to get the Zealot. Feels very confident in his defense regardless, and it's going to be a Stalker chronoed out as he just tries to buy time here. Pulls the probes away as they get injured. Hopefully doesn't lose too many if you're a MaxPax fan, and for now, I mean, this micro's really good out of MaxPax. Not a single probe has gone down. Stalker 2/3 of the way out, 3/4 of the way out here. Clem is not able to get the damage that he wants. One probe finally falls. But one probe when you have this much time, when the Reaper hits the main base even before your Stalker's done? Or even get started? That was real nice for MaxPax right there. Really top tier micro. We got more stuff on the way. Second Stalker now has joined the fray, but Clem has decided to get a second Reaper. Does mean you 3-shot probes instead of 6-shotting them. When you pair them together like that, that can be really nice. But in the game state right now, it's going to be hard to find that value. Meanwhile, probe's still in the main base on the other side, still finding that scout until the Reaper will eventually kill it. But that's a starport scouted, that's a command center scouted. MaxPax knows exactly what's happening. And at this point, our question changes. It's not how much damage is Clem going to get done with these two Reapers, because at that point, the answer is probably not a lot. Now, that one is, we pretty much know what's going to happen on that one. The better question now that we ask ourselves is, where does Clem go from here? His first bit of aggression got a single probe, some workers off the line, but not really anything incredibly significant. Does he go for pressure after this? For now, it's going to be a Viking. It's going to be a Cyclone. He's worried about the starport follow-up because realistically, when you send your barracks onto the other side of the map, you get 2 Reapers out of it, not just the one. Well, your anti-air is going to be pretty lacking. Oracles out of MaxPax could really do a lot of damage there because, again, the only anti-air you can build are Widow Mines that are now running onto the other side of the map. And by the way, MaxPax will not scout that. Okay. And in fact, they're going to be burrowed anyways. They were trying to intercept the Phoenix in the middle of the map there, but Clem is not going to get what he wants. MaxPax, whether by intuition, just luck, I don't know, but he's going to dodge the area. That being said, it's the first Phoenix. There's Cyclones. There's a Viking on the map here. This is going to struggle to get too much damage done. The second question, though, is now the Widow Mine. Yeah, MaxPax, he will fall victim to this now. First Phoenix dead. Nice job there, Clem. Good luck the first time there for MaxPax, but the second time not really there. So damage done from Clem. He gets the Phoenix, shuts down the harassment a little bit more, at least for a little bit longer, shuts down the what's the best way to say this? Shuts down the map control, I guess. Yeah, there we go. For a little bit longer, and that's always going to be really nice for Clem. And especially here, if he decides to go for some pressure off of this, he's got 2 Cyclones. He's got a Viking. He's got all of these things. And that means that technically, if he was able to hit a timing with his stim, maybe, for example, he could actually do a really nice job But Clem is just so tricky with these Widow Mines. In the main base, he's got one hidden behind the barracks, one hidden behind the refinery. And any sort of pressure that MaxPax wants to put on, it seems pretty likely to fall victim to what happened the first time, where the Phoenix, shows up for a second, but died very quickly. MaxPax behind this, we're looking at 3 Phoenix right now, 4th on the way. And again, as we talk about questions in this game, what does Clem do on the follow-up? Oh, Widow Mine. Oh, MaxPax barely out of... I can't believe he got out of range there. Now thinking about diving in on the gas. This time, though, it's gonna hit, but it doesn't kill yet. Takes 2 Widow Mines to kill a Phoenix. One just damages it quite a bit, but even still, MaxPax has just been utterly stymied by the Starport follow, or the Stargate follow-up. It's just not getting what he wants at all, and now Clem's stim is done. Combat shields are on the way, +1's on the way. If Clem wants to go and hit a bit of a timing, here's the Reapers. Try to dive in, but too much damage. They're not a single probe will fall. If Clem wants to dive onto the other side of the map and start to find some value, start to really put the pedal to the metal here against Clem, I think that's very possible. Clem, for his part, or MaxPax for his part, 2 Immortals. Colossus on the way. Might be done by the time that Clem gets to the other side of the map. He's got a couple Phoenix, but one is very low, another is decently injured, and then, well, one of the ones he made is just dead. This is going to be a tough hold for Clem right now. Not impossible, certainly not, and it depends on how long Clem waffles, and he waffles long enough. The Colossus is out. Chrono was going to be MaxPax's friend. There always would be. That means that first Colossus is on the map. Extended Thermal Lance, though, not done yet. Charge, not done yet. +1. You guessed it. It's not complete yet, but the Phoenix, they're going to find a couple Widow Mines on the north side here. That's really nice. Even getting one of them shuts down a lot of the power from this push out of Clem. But even still, 2 Cyclones, 3 Widow Mines, 3 Marauders, all this stuff, a couple of Medivacs as well. This is a scary army that Clem has. Is he going to be able to break the natural with shield batteries and Colossus? Probably not. What is he going to do? And maybe break the third base? Maybe he's got a bit better of a shot. There's now another Widow Mine connects. And by the way, MaxPax is well aware of what's happening here. The Observer was right on top of the army. So, well, Clem, for now, it doesn't really feel like he should be able to get too much done. I love these random Widow Mines, though. They're doing such a good job of just punishing MaxPax. That force field is so nice out of MaxPax. Shells away 5, 7, something like that. A couple Marine. Actually, I thought I got more, but 2 Marines, a Cyclone. They will fall down, so that's always going to be really nice there for MaxPax. As Clem now trying to play 2 sides of the map here. He's got his main army on the north side of the natural, an auxiliary one, a drop force on the bottom side here. Phoenix, though, will find it for a time, but they don't kill things all that quickly. Now dropping to the main base as well here. But charge is done now. The Colossus, they don't care about your cliffs. They're going to show up on the high ground anyways. So, Clem still tries to find pressure. Widow Mine, this time, it's not going to get the shot off. There's an Observer right there, but these Phoenix are so heavily wounded. And actually, well, they're not just heavily wounded, they will fall down. 2 of them die, and 1 Phoenix is the loneliest number right there. A single Phoenix on the map is just not... doesn't represent a lot of power. Not really. Ooh, but around the corner here in the choke, that's another nice force field. So Marauders fall. Cyclones as well. And MaxPax behind this, by the way, he's taking his 4th base at the gold, which is really a weird base, right? So there are 6 total mineral patches, 3 on the left, 3 on the right, and only 4 of them they last any bit of time, 1,800 minerals. And of course, the gold base has less minerals than a regular base anyways. But also, there's this wide open area. Run-bys can hit from everywhere, and that's good because an easy to take base with 6 gold minerals and a purple gas and that rich gas, that's a broken base. Even still, though, Stalkers move forward here. Widow Mines will fall. No, they don't. Never mind. They don't get targeted down, and they get some really solid shots. MaxPax, though, has to be kind of careful with how he wants to make this happen. There are Vikings on the field. He doesn't have a ton of stock. Well, actually, no, his stalker count. It's okay. It's got 10 Stalkers. On top of that singular Viking, which at this point, the goal of the Vikings are not to kill the goal of the Phoenix is not to kill the Vikings. It'll soak some shots. You lead with it, maybe you get a Widow Mine shot, something like that. And then the Stalkers can, of course, follow up here. But MaxPax trying to put this army in a corner, but running through that choke does not spark joy. The Terran's going to set up a concave on the other side, and yeah, that sounds hard. So MaxPax still posturing on the middle of the map here, and we're starting to see how equilibrium with how long across the map long horizontally across the map it is. It's pretty hard to break your opponent. Clem's been trying, MaxPax now posturing, has been thinking about it, but it's just really hard. There are so many high grounds and so many chokes that even if you take a fight in the middle of the map, you might not be able to break through onto the other side because there's just enough time for reinforcements to show up. But now MaxPax, he's playing like this, like he's aware of it. Second robo on the way. Blink is going to get done soon, not done just yet. Adding in disruptors, Dark Shrine. We're getting into the point where realistically MaxPax's army is starting to increase in complexity a tiny bit, but again, that lack of a blink means it's really hard to fight this Terran army. You just can't go. Widow Mines defensively very nice there, but MaxPax into the third base with the Zealots as well, starting to really put the hammer and tongs to Clem just a little bit. Even with these Zealots that have taken a lot of damage, it's 7, 8 SCVs going down. The whole position micro, by the way, was really nice on that third base, or more SCVs would have fallen. Even still, 11 SCVs. The army of Clem forced back home, and now Blink is done. Now MaxPax is a better way to deal with these Vikings in the sky. He's adding in more disruptors 2 at a time. DT Blink 2-2. Everything now really starting to go the way of MaxPax here, at least for the brief period. But of course, ghosts are on the field. The Viking count is pretty reasonable. 10 Vikings for 2 Colossus is actually, that's overkill. That's 5 Vikings per Colossus. That is, again, that's significant overkill. Generally, the number is 3 to 4. 3 normally, 4 if you just really want to knock him down fast, but 5 is just so much. Of course, this fourth base from Clem is going to get found out for a time. A couple SCVs will fall and certainly forced to be lifted. It's kind of interesting to see that Clem has not taken the gold, but it's a little bit harder to hold for the Terran than I think the Protoss, just because of how active you can play on the map and how your siege units work in the, well, how likely you are to buy siege units in a PvT like this, because it's not like you're going to have a ton of tanks on the map or something that you can use to defend that position. It's just, you got to do it by your army positioning. Meanwhile, MaxPax, he does have a little bit more long range poke options. He can respond just a little bit better, but for now, takes a fight, gets a Viking down, and he's going to be forced to back up for a second. Runs back down the ramp onto his side of the map, but let's be real, at this point, the goal of these fights, if he beats Clem, that's great. The goal of these fights are to distract Clem, to keep his army in the middle of the map, to open up some spaces we can see MaxPax doing right now, while Zealots and DTs eventually start to find their way onto the other side of the map, do economic damage, snipe a planetary maybe, but of course, you need DTs for that. Zealots will not snipe the planetary like MaxPax is trying to do, and MaxPax's army here, that's a lot of Zealots on the bottom side that Clem is going to be able to box in, take down. That's expensive. I mean, yes, MaxPax has 1,500 minerals in the bank, but still, that was like 1,400 minerals worth of Zealots. That was significant. Yeah, he does have a bunch of DTs on the way now, and that's going to be something. But this game, it feels destined to go just a little bit longer, and neither player really able to do anything on their opponent's side of the map. But now MaxPax, maybe this is where he finds something. He's got a Warp Prism on the north side. He's got 10, something like that, DTs. 8 DTs on the bottom side. So he's going to be able to find some value. And look at this here. The Marauders, they're going to sit underneath this. Yeah, well, Vikings kill that off. That's fine. DTs, though, also warped in, and they're maybe going to find some value just a little bit. Disruptors on the front line here. Clem really taxed all of a sudden. DTs just on top of the base. Blink on top of the other side. Just a body block out the SCVs. Prevent the hug of life. And this planetary will fall down. So now it's a 3-base Terran, a 4-base Protoss. Soon to be, actually, no, 5-base Protoss. Not even soon to be. 3-3 on the way. DTs get recalled here. They don't fall down. But of course, Clem, he had another base. He did have another base on the way. This DT's going to get out. Yeah, it's gonna find its way out of the scan, forcing another scan there from MaxPax. Really well done. Now the economy of Clem, it's been hurt a little bit. Of course, he's got a gold, so maybe not as bad as it otherwise would have been. Is Stalker's Blink right on top of the Widow Mine. That doesn't feel good. But the base is going to get killed. The extra command center will die. Not even a cancel. DT is on the bottom side. Well, there's detection right there, so that shouldn't get too much done. But this army on the front side, disruptors are going to try to find their way in. And we're going to start to see this orbital. It's just dead. Too much damage. Well, is it going to go down? Yeah, okay, it will fall. Just too much damage there coming out of MaxPax. And now Clem, really, his economy here starting to hurt. He's got the gold base. He's got the rich gas base. That's something. But, I mean, look at the bank that he has. That's not great. Yes, he's building another planetary. This is the final command center that he built early on as these Colossus start to fall down. MaxPax doesn't want to lose them, but look at the surround here from Clem, both sides. But he triggers it a little bit early, and that means that MaxPax theoretically can take one fight versus the other. Even still, Clem takes a beautiful fight here. And on the chase, trying to knock down the Immortals as he can, Disruptors as he can. MaxPax, that's a horrible fight. Disruptor will get targeted down to the last second. Clem just diving on top of this army all of a sudden. And Clem, yeah, he lost a lot of his economy, but that was a heavy trade that MaxPax just took. Even still in the main base, DT's finding more value here. 4 workers will fall, but Clem on the front lines. There's no splash. 3 Disruptors are going to be ready soon, but Clem has to he's going to force the base to be given up here. Another scan gets dropped. DT does not survive. Not able to get picked up in the Warp Prism, and now the base of MaxPax, it's going to fall down, but he's still on 5 bases. That's still a pretty nice position. Disruptors will zone out. MaxPax, though, down 50 supply. I get closer to 40 supply. Now that he's rebuilt the Disruptors, understanding that Clem is not going to be building Vikings anymore. The Colossus are dead. There's no point. And Colossus against Disruptors or Vikings against Disruptors are just really, really bad. He's now built 3 Colossus immediately, chronoed them all the way out of those 3 Robos, and now MaxPax's army, it's still about 40 army supply down, 43 something like that, or 33 something like that, but the complexity is starting to find its way in there once again. Down in minerals and gas, but he's able to take a pretty good fight here on the choke. Maybe Clem's gonna back up for the time being, not opting into these Disruptor battles, not right now. MaxPax needs to bring his Colossus to the army, but they're not there yet, so the Disruptors are starting to get targeted down. 2 of them will fall, and all the damage that MaxPax got taking those bases down, well, for the most part, it's been dealt with. The 3rd base that MaxPax killed, well, it wasn't... no, I guess... No, it did have more. It did have more resources. I lied. Not really all that mined out, but the gold base of MaxPax, that absolutely is. Bottom side base should just go down, but MaxPax may be on the trap here. If he can force a good fight, he can force this army to take a fight here. Disruptor from the backside! Clem will dodge in time. Even still, it hurts. It hurts so much, but he's going to chase the Disruptors on the backside. And he's going to find his way, wiggle his way on out of here. 7 probes dead, a base dead, and the gold base mining out. All of a sudden, the economy of MaxPax, that's the one that's starting to hurt here. I can't believe Clem dodged that. That was such a beautiful Disruptor flank. Clem dove on top of the army, sacrificed some of his units to ensure that he didn't lose more. That was such a split-second decision out of Clem. Now the Stalkers, they blink forward, get on top as much as they can of these Marauders. We got to point this out. Clem, I think Clem's overbuilt medevacs. He's on 19 medevacs. That's 38 army supply. That's the entire army supply lead in units that actually don't fight. And yeah, when we're looking at maxed out armies, absolutely, they matter. They heal you. They give you so much healing, so much sustain over time. But if you don't, or as the economy starts to go down, as army supplies start to get lower, they really you start to hit this point where you just don't have enough fighting units and just too many medevacs. Especially as Clem's adding more Vikings, adding more Liberators. He's very much focused on this guy. Now Stalkers, they blink on top of the medevacs, but that means the Vikings, they can fire for now. Liberators, they're gonna go off, and Stalkers not targeting them down, so MaxPax again has to give this position up again. Down 40 army supply, again the Colossus will fall, and this army, once the Terran is maxed out like this with the Marauders on top, it's so hard to run away. Disruptors, they get slowed down. Stalkers get slowed down. Everything dies. MaxPax loses another Disruptor there. This army out of Clem, and it's something else. He's up 50 army supply, and yeah, 42 SCVs. Actually, he only has 2 orbitals, so you're going to talk about how that doesn't matter. No, his economy is... He's got those 2 meals, but that's it. There's 2 meals at a time, but that is not where you expect to see a late game Terran. Not really. So actually, this is not as dire maybe as I thought it was for MaxPax. Of course, the Liberator, that's causing problems. +3 ship weapons done soon. But also, if we look at resources lost here, MaxPax down 13,000 resources. Clem on the north side taking a base down. MaxPax doesn't really have any bit of counter pressure. He's just going to have to try to track things down a little bit. His economy, again, hurting so significantly. Disruptors, are they going to land it? Oh, no, Clem. He gets every single one, picks up, runs away. There's no anti-air. And when we talk about army supplies, the other thing we have to talk about, there is no gas in this army. 500 gas in this army. It's 72 supply of zealots, pretty much. We're looking at, yeah, MaxPax taps out here. Doesn't have the money anymore. Clem. That was a really cool game. He takes game one. The bottom right side, and the blue jonesing for some revenge after MaxPax took him down in Europe. His name is Clem. And of course, his opponent in the upper left in the blue, or excuse me, in the red. He's for Storm. It's MaxPax. And of course, as we get into our series here, as we're into game number 2, I'd like to remind you all that if you want near daily uploads of MaxPax and Clem and Beyond and Hero and Maru and Cyril and Cure and all of these awesome players and best of 3s, best of 5s like we have right here, best of 7s, all of these things, you should hit that sub button on the channel, because try to do every day. Sometimes it doesn't happen. Like I was doing ESL Masters Regionals this weekend, and it was hard to find enough voice to do a 10-hour cast, 9-hour cast, and then get more recordings done. So it doesn't always happen, but near enough. You're going to get those uploads. You're going to get those games. And of course, also, if you want to catch me live, like I'll be live later tonight for ESL Masters North America around probably 7:30 Eastern. Not ESL Masters, excuse me. The EPT Cup North America. 7:30 Eastern, something like that, 7 p.m. Eastern. You should catch me twitch.tv/BeoMulf, or, because I can do it now, on this very YouTube channel. Hopefully you'll get a notification. And of course, like the video. That really does help out. And what did MaxPax need to do differently in that game at number 1? I feel like he just didn't have a way to move across the map there. Clem did such a good job of maintaining map presence. Of every time MaxPax wanted to run through the center, Clem had to drop somewhere, and MaxPax, despite getting those bases, wasn't really able to get the lasting damage that he wanted. The mules were enough briefly, and he couldn't quite punch through. But for now, of course, Clem not doing anything particularly crazy. He's not proxying a barracks. That being said, MaxPax, though, is. This isn't quite the MaxPax build. This is, well, this is not the first gateway. But it is the second, and there's a third way back at home. This is something that Hero's been experimenting with. It's kind of the grandchild of the MaxPax build is maybe a better way to say that. If the classic build is the child of the MaxPax build, this Hero style where you just get a couple gateways early, and it does delay your tech a little bit, absolutely. But you're just able to warp in with 3 gateways onto the other side. You put some pressure on. As long as you don't commit too hard, it's still going to be pretty good for yourself. It can be pretty solid. But of course, Clem, he did see the probe moving in from an awkward angle. Didn't see the gateway, though. And this Adept is going to try to knock this Reaper down. Should be able to do so, yeah. Clem even fights it for a second, but he knows that once the Adept finds it's like that, once the damage is done, it's generally you have to get 2 shots of the Adept on the Reaper before the Shade to make sure that it dies afterwards. There's Widowmine as well. MaxPax? It's a little bit awkward as Stalkers are going to find this drop in the middle of the map as well. This is getting a little awkward for both sides right now. Widowmine went off, got a Stalker, I think, but on the other side, the Adept just sitting on top of things there. That we're going to see the supply depot go down very, very quickly. There really isn't a lot to defend at home for Clem because his drop is on the other side of the map. But the supply depot doesn't fall, not at first here. We're going to see the Cyclone doing such a good job defensively, dropping the main base of the natural for MaxPax. Not going to find all that much, but this Cyclone. Well, they buffed Cyclones to make sure that you could play mech versus Protoss and bonus damage to mechanical units, or yeah, bonus damage to mechanical units. That's what they changed the Cyclone to. Is pretty dang strong. They used to be plus armor, of course. Now it's plus versus mechanical, and they are shredding these Stalkers. Even as it is just absolutely made of paper, it's going to be able to kite away And MaxPax is losing so much here. It's 5 dead stalkers. That is so much value. But MaxPax continues to try to put the pressure on it. He's got 3 stalkers on the way at a time. He's going to lose another one from the Widow Mine. But at least he's adding in a Warp Prism. At least he's going to that next round of something. The longer this goes on, I mean, I talked about how this can be really nice so long as you don't go and you don't lose a bunch of stuff. You just kind of sit there, you tech up behind his pressure. It's nice. MaxPax has lost 7 stalkers. He's lost an adept. He hasn't really lost any workers, but he's lost a lot of everything else. This is ooh, what am I? Okay, apparently there's an armory down, so that's gonna get a probe and will fall down, but hey, run it in, get a probe, not too bad. MaxPax has lost so many stalkers in this game that I don't think this build is worth it. Maybe with the drop in the main base, he's gonna get a couple SCVs, validating that decision, but I mean, in general, this just doesn't feel all that great for the red Protoss player. He's gonna get 2 SCVs, 3 SCVs. You gotta be so careful of the lock-on as well, onto the stalkers, onto the Warp Prism, and even breaking lock-on doesn't do all that much for you, as now the Cyclones, they're stuck behind the Marines. They could go forward first, but they are made of paper. So I guess you do have to be careful there. Even still, MaxPax is not getting what he needs. Okay, so stalkers on the north side. They should be able to deny the gas a little bit. But again, what I'm looking at here is that we're 6:30 in. Yes, Clem Stem is not the fastest thing ever, but we're 6 minutes 30 seconds into this game. MaxPax, he's up less than 10 workers, so a little bit. I mean, ideally, you're like 8 up on the Terran right now, and now you're up 11, so not bad there. But his tech is so delayed. He's gonna have Colossus starting, well, at least in production before Blink is done. He's gonna, is +1, I guess, is not too bad, but this timing that's gonna come out of Clem pretty quickly, I just worry about it. I don't think that MaxPax is gonna be, I don't know how much MaxPax is gonna be ready for it. Again, this is a later timing from Clem. Stim done at, well, actually after 7:30, I think close to maybe 7:40, he's gonna have +1 combat shield. I mean, this is gonna be like an 8-minute timing. So Clem has been delayed by this pressure out of MaxPax a little bit, but I don't think he's been delayed as much as MaxPax has delayed himself in this game. MaxPax is still posturing, of course. He's still got this army on the other side. He doesn't want Clem to move out, and if he does move out, he certainly wants to know about it, but Stim's done now. 7:36. Blink done in 10 seconds, so the fact that Stim is done before Blink is just absolutely insane. And Clem on the other side, he gets the Warp Prism as well on the Cyclones. Beautiful play there from Clem. So that means that's 1 less damage vector, really, that MaxPax is going to be able to attack through. The Warp Prism, he's not going to be able to rebuild it for a while. He needs these Colossus. He needs these tech units to make sure he survives. But Clem, he's got his 3rd base on the way. It's a little bit slow, but he's been building it since 7:30, something like that. I think Clem is making the read here that his army supply is now starting to skyrocket a little bit, but it hasn't been for a while. It's only okay. It's not insane. And, well, when I started saying that statement, it was only okay, not insane. Now we're starting to see that lead. It's a 30 army supply lead out of Clem. As MaxPax charge on the way, not done yet. +1 on the way, not done yet. Extended Thermal Lance will complete for this fight, but there are 3 tanks here. A couple Cyclones as well. Widowmine just runs its way into the face, looks for the burrow. It just scared him away. Run from the Widowmine. It's Halloween after, well, not quite Halloween, but close enough. It's Halloween weekend, and that's terrifying. Meanwhile, Liberator in the main base, killing off a couple more probes there. That's going to be nice. And Clem's pressure at the front. I mean, MaxPax is going to have to be some really good force field, some really good Colossus connections. And he does have 2 Colossus right now. That is something. But he doesn't have charge. And these Zealots thinking about running by on the 3rd base. They had to walk across. They're not all that quick on the move there. And Clem's got reinforcements, so he's very fine against these slow Zealots. Meanwhile, Colossus takes a little bit of damage, but it's Marines. It's not Marauders there on the high ground, so that's not going to get much done. And Clem continues to slow push. I think he absolutely could have gone and run pell-mell up the high ground and maybe tried to kill MaxPax, but oh, nice Widowmine shot. But he didn't bother. There's no need. Instead, just go and take the slow push, section off units as you can. That's a lot of dead zealots for no gain whatsoever. And now Clemm's up 50 army supply, or 50 total supply at 54 army supply. Yeah, there are 2 Colossus on the field, and there's not a ton of things that directly counter them. Marauders are good, and tanks are good, but they still do have to do damage. It's not like Vikings in the sky that really take them down. Even still, this game coming out of Clem right now, the drops on the north side, they get tapped 12 probes. And now this gateway goes down. I mean, it's just not looking good for MaxPax. This build that he tried, Clem batting down the hatches. Now Zealots on the left side, they're gonna get the Cyclone, but let's be real here, the Cyclone, it's not as useful as it once was. It did a lot of value in that early game, killing the Warp Prism like that, just providing this incredible defensive pressure. But now that we're on the map and Clem's at 150 odd supply, he's up 30 army supply, Cyclones don't really matter nearly as much. MaxPax feels like he really needs a 4th base, and his economy can't really support it. His army really can't support it, so it's you either need a 4th base or you need to get damage done to the Terran toot sweet ASAP. The Zealots, they're not going to get really a lot, and MaxPax, he's on the other side of the map. And remember, when you're talking about base trading, Protoss has recall, Terran really doesn't, so this might get a little bit scary for Clem right now, as the +2 is going to be done in 8 seconds. 4th base is going to get canceled here, but Clem, he stims on top of this 3rd base, so that's going to be a quicker death anyways. Maybe trying to get as many probes as possible, and Clem should just know to pick up, drop into the main base, but or lift his command center into the main base. But no, he's gonna just deal with this attack at the front. Vikings doing what they can. Stalkers, they're gonna blink on top of him though, and MaxPax establishes primary position in the main base here of Clem on top of the production. Colossus have fallen. We only have 1 of them remaining right now, but probes continue to die here for MaxPax. A lot of them get out though, actually. So now this is probably the best situation that MaxPax could have found. Stalkers now blink onto the low ground, so SCVs will fall. That does mean that the Vikings should be able to at least do damage to this Colossus, even if they don't kill it. MaxPax, I love the presence of mind, by the way, grabbing that Dark Shrine when he realized the base trade was going to happen. Widowmines kill off a bunch of probes. That doesn't feel good there, MaxPax. He thought he was safe, I guess, but he just, whew, they clump up on that one. I don't know. That was weird. Even still. Clumps up, kills a lot of probes, and now we're looking at 17 probes, 29 SCVs, and actually that probe count's going to go down very, very quickly. So 9 probes on the map. MaxPax can't build another structure. Every structure that, okay, no, he canceled something. There we go. Okay, now there's a Nexus on the way. He did warp in the DT. Okay, so he warps in the DT. There's a Nexus on the way. Clem's going to find it immediately. That's just where the orbital went. So beeline onto the north side right there, knocking the Nexus down. DT's onto this last mining base, and that will be a problem. But you got to keep the planetary down so you can make that scan happen. Clem doesn't know that MaxPax can't warp anything in. Oh, these Widowmines though, they killed off like 15-20 probes, and they just got so much of the ground army of MaxPax right now. Clem, I think he's just gonna take the fight. It's only 1 Colossus. Yeah, MaxPax steps out here. He's not gonna win this base trade. MaxPax now down 2. And now in perhaps our final game of this series, unless MaxPax can turn it around on the upper left in the blue. Up 2. It's Clem. And the bottom right in the red. Down 2 games, looking for the comeback. The sweep of Europe and North America. It's MaxPax. So game 1 was aggression from Clem. It didn't get much done. That Reaper didn't kill much of it. I think he got 1 probe, but MaxPax handled it really nicely. He got himself into the mid game in an impeccable fashion. was able to do whatever he wanted. He was very, very happy. Game 2, Clem eventually won late, just off some really nice macro plays. Game 2, we saw MaxPax's proxy a gateway on the map, build a third one back at home, move into robo play, but just for the warp prism behind, and Clem defended perfectly. He really took no damage, and that meant that MaxPax, I mean, maybe he lost an SCV or two. It really wasn't significant. And then MaxPax was just stuck on slow tech and slow economy, and Clem shoved him in. And the cool thing about that game was how patient Clem was. How instead of running up the ramp and trying to win right there, he sieged up, he put a drop on the main base, he started nickel and diming MaxPax out of his army, and there wasn't really a lot that MaxPax could do. Now, well, we're going to see what Clem is up to in this game. For now, it's going to be command center on the way on the high ground, factory a little bit faster. So barracks, double gas factory type of idea. A little bit more pressure coming out of Clem than he might otherwise have gone for. We're going to have to see just how effective this is. Now, Reaper thinking about going onto the high ground, looking for that scout, maybe a probe or two if he gets lucky. And hey, there's a wounded probe from earlier, so he should get lucky here, even still just diving through the mineral line. Got to be careful, though. Adept will pop out in time. MaxPax will not take that damage. So Clem gets a little greedy, doesn't take the free probe, tries to get something a little more. I guess he didn't see it, so that's fair. And behind this, MaxPax Stargate on the way, and, well, there's been a lot of talk about how Stargate play is just not a thing anymore. It's not viable, and I tend to fall in line with that. I tend to believe that in that idea because, well, as the Reaper dives in, it's gonna get a probe very nice onto the high ground, full scout there, the Stargate as well, and he's even gonna dodge the morphing or the spawning Adept just a little bit faster. Does it get out though? No way, right? Yeah, this Reaper's dead. There's been a lot of talk about why Stargate's dead, and the long and short of it is that these cyclone pressures that Terrans have been doing, they kill it even more dead. They make it even more dead than they previously did. Now we're gonna see what exactly does Clem go for that pressure. I think he does. He's got a medevac on the way. Marines 2x2, 2 cyclones here. He's not gonna let MaxPax have a happy, nice, beautiful game. He's going to put pressure on him pretty quickly here, but Adepts are going to get in the main base. 3 Adepts one-shot SCVs. They one-shot Marines. Clem, he's going to have to defer this judgment a little bit longer because there's this, he let Adepts into the main base. Now they will fall. All 3 of them are dead. And that is a bit of a problem here because MaxPax now, he's got a single Phoenix, a single Oracle, nothing on the ground. He's going to have to add these shield batteries. He doesn't even have Warp Gate done. So even as he dives in and gets damage done here, I'm really worried about the defense of MaxPax. He's not going to have a lot. 6 total SCVs have died, but the Oracle will fall in exchange. Yes, it will. So it's going to be a single Phoenix on the map versus 7 Marines. Well, I guess the second Phoenix, 2 Stalkers versus 7 Marines. The Cyclones as well. They do so much damage to these Stalkers, knocking one down even before the shield battery is done. If you're MaxPax here, how do you hold on to this? And I guess in part of it, Clem is going to sit back. He's going to take it a little bit slower, a little bit more patiently, and putting pressure on the third base is going to be a good option for that one. Is now we're going to see, well, the pylon gets targeted down, at least briefly, so shield batteries are not going to be popping up all that easily. Stalkers take so much damage here. Now we had Liberators as well. 3rd Cyclone. The Phoenix, they're looking for reinforcements. They're not going to find them just yet. This third base is dead. Shield battery, pylon, they're all going to get canceled. At least MaxPax gets some money back, knocks a Marine down on the reinforcing path, but it's a dead third. Clem, he's going to look for more, though, especially now knowing that the Phoenix are not here. Shield battery overcharges. Pop targets that one down so quickly. Cyclones are starting to fall, but there's still one of them right there getting picked up, dropped down, doing so much damage. And the Liberator means you just cannot take this fight. Now the Phoenix are going to try to dive on top. They're going to lift the Cyclone, but the Cyclone won't even die, at least not for a while. And now Marines get on top of the Stalkers here. There is so little value in MaxPax's army at the moment, and Clem, I think he backs up, though. He's not quite to the point where he can break MaxPax. He killed the third. He got a lot of damage done. But with the way Terran works, it really, anyone that's not a Protoss with Warp Gate works, or going a Warp Gate heavy style, it takes a while to get your reinforcements across the map. And, of course, it takes the Terran the longest. If you stim it, it's a little faster, but in general, there's no creep, there's no warping. So, Clem's going to have to back up, bring his army together, and maybe look to hit another timing, just a little bit later, when stim is done. Combat shields, +1, all of these beautiful things. So, yeah, his third base was delayed for just a little bit. MaxPax was killed. MaxPax lost the third base. He lost shield batteries, lost pylon. His response, I like the response, by the way, is adding in 4 more gateways, adding in a forge, charge, not going up to high-level tech, just understanding that Clem is going to want to just go kill him in the next 45 seconds, 30 seconds. And you cannot afford Colossus play in something like that. So Liberator in the natural, denying mining for quite a bit. Liberator in the main as well here. He's going to get a shot on the Stalker. Well, maybe a shot on the Stalker, yeah. It's going to kill a Stalker. It's just not getting microed out of position. So much damage here from Clem on every single side. Into the third base as well. MaxPax, what are you supposed to do here? He's down 12 army supply, but more importantly, he doesn't have blink. He doesn't have charge. This army is just, the one thing MaxPax can do with his army is run away to make sure his base doesn't die. But I mean, that's 12 dead probes. And now combat shield's done in 10 seconds. Concussive shell's done now. MaxPax can bring this army, well, Clem, excuse me, can bring this army together. It's going to be pretty nice. Now the Stalker's on the other side with the Zealot, with the Widowmines as well. Well, they're going to die to the Widowmines. The Phoenix don't find the value that they're looking for. Right side, MaxPax loses everything as well. The Zealot charge, sure, it's done, but it doesn't matter. Clem, what a tour de force there. He takes our series 3-0, and, well, he could not set the record for most EPT Europe wins. He does take NA.